What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, The World of I, who is I, me, Leon, and I wanted to do this quick video before I went to the gym and to take advantage of all this great natural lighting. Now, before I jump into the actual video, I also want to give a quick special thanks to all those that have supported and hit that subscribe button, deciding to become a YouTube friend of mine. And if you're watching this video and you haven't yet clicked subscribe, I definitely recommend you to do so as I continue to share my self-discovery journey with you all, liberty, experiences through travel, spirituality, mindset, and much more. Also, if you would like to keep things social with me, I did create an Instagram and a Facebook page to coincide with my YouTube channel. I'll put the links to both those platforms down in the description below. Now, today's video, I want to share with you all the story and experience of my first time meeting a yogi. Now, why this video is important, or the story is important, is because it kind of goes hand in hand with my Kundalini spiritual awakening video and my Dark Night of the Soul stage video, because this experience pretty much happened within weeks after the spiritual awakening, and then of course as I was going through the Dark Night of the Soul stage. And if you haven't seen those two videos, I'll also put the link to those videos in the description below. So before I actually jump into the actual story and the actual experience, I want to give you a little bit of background story on who I actually met. Now, the yogi that I actually met goes by the name of Sri Swamiji Maharaj. And he is a self-realized master in meditation in the traditions of the ancient and modern yogis of India. He attained self-realization through 12 years of tapas with meditation and samadhi, which is total absorption or a godlike consciousness, for about, of course, as I said, 12 years. Part of those 12 years, he spent 23 hours a day for 8 years, and then 12 hours a day for 4 years meditating. And tapas is one of the most advanced stages of meditation in which one remains absorbed for long periods of time in the non-dualistic state of consciousness known as samadhi, which is, as I said, is similar to a God conscious or total absorption of everything that's kind of going on around you. Shivabalayogi was actually born in January 24th, 1935, and he actually passed March 28th, 1994. So with that being said, who did I actually meet? Who I actually met was one of his devotees who pretty much after he passed adopted and embraced his spirit, and pretty much is in a formal way, an equal representation of embodying a Shivabalayogi in a spiritual and physical sense. And he goes by the name by Sri Swamiji for short, which stands for respected master. And that's who I actually met, Sri Swamiji, who is an embodiment of Shivabalayogi. And let me jump into the story and experience of actually meeting Sri Swamiji. Now, it was Father's Day when I came across the opportunity to even meet a yogi, Sri Swamiji, because on Father's Day, me and my brother decided to take my father out for lunch on his old college campus. As I was walking, still kind of in my head in that Dark Night of the Soul stage, and trying to really perfect the mindset of kind of being in the now, and trying to perfect that mindset, actually seeing the flyer that was pretty much advertising the free meetup for Sri Swamiji, and it was basically kind of a time for like meditation and whatnot. Now, at the time, I was definitely practicing meditation. I was finding that it was helping me not only with the Dark Night of the Soul stage, but just be calm, be chill, just take a little bit of time just to be quiet throughout the day. Now, at the time, I was like very new to the discipline of meditation, so I figured it'd be nice to go to something like this to learn from somebody, from a yogi. I mean, like, you can't really pass that opportunity up. And I considered the flyer to be an omen. I really got big into omens after reading The Alchemist, and if you haven't read that book, it's by Pablo Coelho. I definitely recommend you guys to read that book. Now, the day came where they were going to have the meetup for Sri Swamiji, and I was actually going to go with a friend of mine, but he was running late, and I also have a notorious problem with also showing up late to stuff, but I didn't want to show up late to this because I didn't want to walk in while people were meditating. So I went ahead and hopped in the car and head over to the city where they're having a meetup. And when I arrived there, everybody was really chill, really calm, really just had a peaceful aura to them. And the lady who was hosting the event told me, take my shoes off, turn my phone off. And it seemed like everybody was already acquainted with him, because apparently I think he kind of has a foundation here in North Carolina, and he comes on a regular basis, I assume, because it felt like everybody pretty much know each other. And this was my first time. I was the only person meeting him for the first time, and because of that, they make you sit in the front, like in the very front, so that you can really absorb and feel his energy and feel his aura, which is also very interesting to me to do, to be, thrown up front, which I'm all cool with when it comes to new experiences. Usually I just jump right into them. Now, the meetup was basically split up into about 3 different sections. The first section was an hour-long meditation. Now, at the time, I was only using Headspace, the free trial version, because I'm cheap and didn't want to pay for the full version. And the trial version, I think, only allowed you to meditate for up to 10 to 15 minutes. So I had never even thought about meditating for a whole hour, and I'm glad that they actually had us do that for an hour, because to really understand the benefits of what meditation can do for you, I mean, you definitely get a better understanding of meditation when you're able to meditate for a complete hour, and I'll explain why. But before the meditation session started, a gentleman walked around and he had like some sacred ash that had been prayed over by Sri Swamiji, and he pretty much put it on the center of my forehead, and he told me while I was meditating, if my thoughts started to get out of control, to just focus my attention to the center of my forehead where he put the ash at. So as I entered in and we started out the hour-long meditation, you get a greater benefit from meditating for at least an hour is because it's like the first 15 minutes of that hour-long meditation, your mind is going like 1,000,001 miles an hour, right? Then the second 15 minutes, so you're about 30 minutes in it, your mind starts to slow down a little bit. By the 45-minute mark, the third section of 15 minutes, at this point, you just have like a one consistent voice, kind of talking, not necessarily talking, it's like that inner voice you have. All those thoughts kind of dissipate, and it's just that one voice in your head. You start to become more aware of your internal self. And then the last 15 minutes, I would almost say that voice kind of just goes away, and your senses become a little bit heightened to the point where you're hearing things that you normally wouldn't hear, because it's just very quiet in the room. You're also very quiet. Your mind, your internal world is also very quiet. And by the time the hour was up, you were kind of at a point where you didn't want it to be up. Just to have that sort of clarity and silence in your mind is very relaxing. So the second part of the meeting was everybody sing these sacred songs. Now, I can't really sing, but I grabbed some maracas and held the beat. And plus, they were singing, I believe, in his language, which was even harder for me to keep up with. So I just kept the beat for him. And then the third part, you actually get a one-on-one session with him to ask him any sort of questions you want. Now, he doesn't really speak English, but I believe he had a lady with him, which I believe was his wife, that could translate. And he spoke a little bit of English, but not enough for you to really understand him. And so in my head, I was kind of nervous, because I was like, what am I really going to ask him? So I figured, well, I'm about to graduate college. I'm going to ask the age. I didn't want to ask him any cliche questions, but I ended up asking him a very cliche question in terms of like, how do you find your purpose and meaning of everything all? And pretty much his response to me, just be patient, take time to be silent through meditation, and really listen to that internal voice, which I had heard many famous people speak about, listening to some sort of internal voice to kind of guide them in the right direction. For example, I seen a interview recently, which I think believed to be Bob Marley's last interview, where he speaks also about listening to a voice as well. And I'll post that interview in the description below. But he pretty much told me just to take my time, and as I listen to that voice, it's going to guide me to my purpose. As well as he told me to just write down a lot of my thoughts to get rid of a lot of like negative emotions, which, I told him at the time I was dealing with a lot of negative emotions. I believe that was associated with a lot of things that was going on in my life, as well as associated with the dark night of the soul. And his recommendation to me, and which I'm sharing with you guys, which could probably help, is to write down all those negative emotions. And instead of keeping it in a journal, you rip it out of the journal, ball it up, and set it on fire, and just basically release that negative energy. Now, I only did that once, and I mean, it helped, but more so it got me into journaling more. So I definitely do that even now to this day. And then the very last part of the meet was pretty much kind of a prayer session where they had this plate with flowers on it and had a candle in the middle. And basically you had to go up in front of him as he was meditating, and because he is an enlightened one, a yogi, you had to kind of pass on your negative emotions to him as you kind of circled this plate, I think in a clockwise motion, I think it was, or maybe it might have been counterclockwise. And he would dissolve all that negative energy for you. And I was thinking to myself, like, that's a pretty noble thing to do. So many of us try to avoid negative situations, but he's telling you, like, give me your negative energy and I'll kind of handle it. And then from there, that was pretty much the end of the session, and I just kind of mixed and mingled and networked and got to talk to some very cool and interesting people. Now, if you have an opportunity to do something like this, I definitely recommend you to do it, especially if you're trying to get into meditation. It kind of like just pushes you into the depths of understanding meditation if you're around people who's been practicing it religiously or have been very disciplined with meditation. And also it's a good thing also to go alone as well, because at first I wanted to bring a friend with me, but like I said, he was running a little late and couldn't make it. And I'm actually kind of glad he didn't come, not in a bad way, just because you don't realize that you hold on to certain personas when you're around friends or family, and to go out and do an experience like this by yourself, you can kind of like completely be yourself and talk to people about things that you may feel like some of your friends or family members might not really understand. Second time, he had another meeting some weeks after there. I did take my friend, and he enjoyed the experience as well, and he also got to talk to him as well, so I'm glad I got to share that with him. But all in all, if you have the opportunity to do an experience such as this one, like I said, I would definitely recommend you to go to it. Now, you don't have to believe all the kind of spiritual or even religious practices behind it or understanding. I guess kind of just take it as self-value, as an experience, especially if you're interested in learning more about meditation. The experience of me first meeting a yogi, a very peaceful, enlightened, and it was peaceful and a very educational experience for me on a personal and spiritual level, and I just want to share that with you guys as well. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, share, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you're somebody that possibly even you went to India, or maybe you had a guru or an enlightened being come to your area and you got an opportunity to meet them, share your experience in the description below and what you kind of pull from it as well. So until next time,